I'm sure you remember here in our children's garden earlier this season we planted sweet corn. Well, we've harvested all of that and it's been shocked up in the center. And when the sweet corn was ripe, we planted hills of pumpkins down underneath. And a few weeks have passed and they've spread out and look great. And on this corner, we've kept them trimmed back because this is a studio garden and we need to keep it nice and neat. But you don't really want to do that if you want pumpkins to be successful in your home garden. Today we've enlisted the help of Bob Constein. Bob is well known around Oklahoma. Bob's a pumpkin farmer from Perkins. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Sue. It's good to be here.
Thanks. I'm glad you could come. Well, Bob, it is important for people to let their pumpkins ramble. And let's talk about that a little bit, about the nature of this vine and why it's important to have all this foliage.
Okay, well, first let me congratulate you. The kind of weather we've had lately, to have a vine at all is really something in this part of the country. But the leaves we want as many as we can in as good a condition because they make the sugars that form the pumpkins. The only reason for the leaf is to make this pumpkin grow and be large. Now, if we were wanting an extra large pumpkin, we might want to cut off the small pumpkins on the same vine, but we wouldn't want to pinch it back. We want as many leaves as we could get. And there's one other trick, that if you're growing a great big pumpkin and you don't want it creased, if you'll take your vine, let's suppose this would be the pumpkin that we want to be the great pumpkin. If you will put a little kink in the vine early on, and it's important to do it early because every place on the vine where there's a leaf and a tendril, the pumpkin will put down another root. This stops it from blowing around and it keeps it, gives it a lot more water and nutrition. So the more of this you can get to root, the better it is. But once it roots, you can't move it around. But as this pumpkin grows and gets bigger, you've got some slack in the vine.
Oh,
and this is
okay.
very important. Otherwise, your jack-o'-lantern will have a built-in mustache.
Oh, you don't want that. Okay, so that to have a nice full rounded pumpkin, do you want it to not root here either?
The pumpkin will pull the roots right out of the ground.
So it'll pull them out
But as long as
anyway.
it has some vine, and I've had pumpkins literally pull themselves off the vine because they didn't have enough slack in the vine.
That's good advice. Well, this is jack-o'-lantern variety. Bob, looking at this one right here, now these were planted the last week in June. And we're looking at about mid-August here right now. About how much further until we can actually harvest that pumpkin?
Oh, I would say probably 4 to 6 weeks. And they're edible at all stages, but the longer we can keep this on the vine, the more sugars and everything it'll have. We want to let this stem get dark and shrunken if we can. But the main thing about pumpkins was it was food in a box that we could store. And the longer it's on the vine and the harder the skin is, the more likely this pumpkin will last into March and April of next year, which was originally the whole point of the,
It's a winter
exercise.
squash that we can eat
Food
in
in
the
a box,
wintertime.
beta-carotene.
There you go. Well, let's talk a little bit about watering pumpkins. We're still into a hot, dry part of the year. I'm glad you like the way our foliage looks, but I know foliage doesn't stay this beautiful for long. What's the best way to water them?
I like to flood irrigate them. At the farm, they're all in trenches and it's easier. But if you can snake a hose in here to various parts of your bed and flood irrigate it, if you sprinkle irrigate it and keep your leaves wet, you're going to get a lot more foliar diseases. But they do need the moisture, especially as unpredictable as our climate is, and that helps these roots to grow. So you need to keep it damp, but not the leaves.
All right, and if the only way you can water is overhead, please do it in the morning, so at least the foliage can
We'll
dry
have a chance
during
to dry
the day.
out.
That's right. But last of all, pests are a problem in pumpkins. We've seen a few cucumber beetles out here, both striped and spotted, but we're certainly spotting some eggs of the squash bug. And let's take a look over here. There are a few eggs on these leaves right here. Bob and I have kind of been scouting around in here. If you see any like this, just the little bronze eggs, you want to rub those off the leaves and make sure that you have a coffee can of water nearby, or just smash them between your hands. And if you find the adults, we have a specific gardening appliance that you can find at your local brickyard.
At your hardware store.
That's right. And Bob's got that.
The squash bugs at this point are the major pests. Once they're up and growing, the cucumber beetles don't seem to bother so much. And if you can catch your squash bugs when they're small, they're easy to kill. But long time and experience have proven that the only method to kill the adult squash bug is Oklahoma grown bricks. And if you can place the squash bug between the bricks, and apply them firmly together. It has no bad environmental consequences, and I can completely recommend this, at least on a small scale.
I appreciate that. Well, that'll work for home gardeners because there really are not any pesticides that we can recommend in the home garden for mature squash bugs. But the bricks are a great idea. Well, Bob, thanks for giving us these tips. Hopefully y'all are going to have success with your pumpkins this fall, and just enjoy the foliage and enjoy growing them because they are a really amazing vegetable.
My favorite.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. You can also find more recent videos on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.